Welcome to another episode of Feeling the Flame. I am your host, Olivia Rogers, and I am joined today with May Norman and Carson Sahi from the diving team today. Thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Of course. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day. So, just to get started, we're going to just do a little bit of background on you both. So, Carson, you actually attended Blackford High School and swam under the head coach, Steve Wycliffe, and you're a sophomore this year that transferred from Indiana University. Do you want to just talk a little bit about why you came to Carthage?
So I played sports. I was a three-sport athlete my entire life, basically, from like 5th grade to senior year. By that time, I was kind of burnt out, so I decided to go to IU, which is my home state, school I always rooted for growing up. But 2 years in there, got bored, kind of, missed sports. I mean, it's hard doing something your whole life and then just dropping it, so I decided to come to Carthage.
Awesome. Do you like it here, having that difference, just a little bit of a kind of across the border type
Yeah,
thing?
it's definitely different than where I grew up, but so far I've loved every second of it.
Awesome. And then, May, you grew up in Clarkston, Michigan, and you went to Clarkston High School, so just across the pond there. You actually have a sister that is on the swim team, Miss Grace Norman. So what is that like for you to come to a college that, you know, your sister was at, you're also a transfer from Trent University, and you're also in the golf team, so what was kind of like that decisioning factor for you to come to Carthage and ultimately also add that additional sport of diving?
Right. So I looked here my senior year of high school, actually, to be a freshman here. But I came here kind of as a joke. I was like, I'll just get another opportunity to tour school. And me and Grace decided we'd never go to school with each other. So it moved to 5th on my list. I picked Trine, and it just wasn't everything I thought it would be. So when I decided to transfer in June, I looked here in one other school. I met the golf coach, and I fell in love with his goals for the program. And I called Grace and told her I was going to come here, and she told me they needed one more girl to fill their dive roster to get the full points. And I was a gymnast 7 years ago, so she said the only way I was allowed to go to the same school as her is if I dove on the team. So that was my only option, so here I am.
Awesome. But you hadn't dove before previously to that?
No. So after I quit gymnastics, my mom gave me a month to try new sports before I picked ultimately golf. I dove for 2 days and cried after both and told her I would never do it again because it was the scariest thing I've ever done. So here we are doing that now.
And you're back.
Yeah.
Not the scariest thing
No,
anymore.
no.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you've been doing great this season.
Thank
You actually, in the first meet that we had at home against Lake Forest, you scored over 100 points over the next competitor. So that was amazing as a first start. Do you want to just talk about what that first meet was like and coming into that and not ever having that collegiate experience yet?
Yeah, so to be honest, I was really nervous. I don't even get that nervous for golf tournaments. I think it was just doing something new, and I only really like to do things I'm good at, like most people. So having everyone watch me, especially my sister, who I came here for, and then I wanted to really make Beth proud and Dave proud and show everyone that I could do this. I sat there before, literally in a ball, just for a minute, just with my own thoughts, and then it was really fun because the Lake Forest girl we were competing against, it was also her first meet, so we just did it together, and it was just a good time, and everyone was there to support me.
That's amazing. That's really beautiful that you guys were able to be there for you guys, for each other in a way. That's awesome. And then Carson, so you actually also swim here, which is super cool. So you're a swimmer and a diver. So you kind of get both sides of the spectrum. So do you want to just talk about what it's like being on the swim team and also being on the dive team and what that dual responsibility is like with practices and having to do competitions and things like that?
It's definitely challenging. I mean, I try to split my time pretty evenly, but both teams are pretty different practice-wise. I mean, obviously you can kind of dive is very technical, and you repeat a lot of things, while swimming's more obviously cardio and swimming a lot of yards and things like that. So practices are pretty different, but the teams are very similar. I mean, we're all kind of very interconnected, and so I never felt like I was far away and never kind of outside of the whole team. So
Never felt like you were missing out on more than one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's great. At the CCIW Championship, you were actually able to collect a couple of season bests and personal bests in the 50 free, the 100 free, the 50-yard breast, the And then in the CCIW championship, wow, you even placed third at the 1 meter. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look at you. You also placed fifth with the 3 meter as well with 274.75 for your score. So a good third and fifth place for championship finish. But do you want to talk about what those season bests and personal bests kind of were like in that competitive environment?
So swimming-wise, I had not swam for probably about 2 months at that point. So being able to do some PRs for the season, I was very stoked to have that.
You had a pretty quick 50 free with 23.5. That's fast.
Yeah. I took it. I was happy for that meet. So
better than what I could probably do. So congratulations. That's awesome. But May, you also had some steady growth with your scores over the season, starting in the low 120s, and then at the CCIW championships, you ended high in the 280s. So, what do you kind of credit towards that growth? What challenges did you run into? What mistakes did you have? Did you have like a bad dive that just kind of wasn't like a nail in the coffin, but gave you that extra boost that you needed?
To be honest, Coach Dave pushed me to do multiple dives I was terrified to do. You can ask Carson. I would show up to practice every day and ask him not to do them. So I raised my difficulty on both boards by a lot and actually was able to compete them successfully. So that definitely gave me the competitive edge in the difficulty score. And besides that, I think I just fixed like the little things the weeks leading up to practice. Everything felt really good. I wasn't honestly as nervous for a conference as I was for any other meet. So it was a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, and Dave is great at building confidence too.
Yeah,
He's like the ultimate hype man. So
yeah, there's an interesting way to do it with Dave. He's very straightforward. I'll tell him I don't want to do it, and he's like, okay, well, I would just spin fast so you don't smack the water. And I'm like, thank you. Good confidence builder before I go do
like,
this.
Thanks, I appreciate that. It's not like I'm scared already.
Yes, but it always works out.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yes.
He's awesome.
Yes.
At the CCIW championship, you placed both in the 3 meter and the 1 meter. At the 1 meter, you were only 4.2 points under Illinois Wesleyan and then 5.75 over Augustana in the 1 meter. So pretty close there.
Yes.
And then again with the 3 meters, you were 39.9 under Wheaton and then 11.45 over Carthage's own Kendall Estico. So you have been performing pretty well with this just being your first year. Has there been something that you've done in your routine for game days that has helped you kind of lock in and get ready for those big competitions and ultimately getting ready to have scores like this?
Honestly, I just have to calm myself down before. So the night before, I will call my mom and she'll talk to me about it. And we talk about how it's very important, but it's not as much stress as golf, right? Yeah. Because I love golf and I do like what I'm doing with dive, but I don't have the whole team just relying on me like in golf. So it's a little different there. And then, like I said, before every meet since the first meet, I sit in a ball for about a minute and just reflect and let myself know that my training will pay off.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm like, I can tell you've seen her in her ball quite a few times. Just a couple more questions just generally about like swim and dive here at Carthage. So Carthage, here for swim and dive at Carthage, it's kind of more of a hidden sport. Not a lot of people know about diving here. Not a lot of people have seen diving here. Is there something that you wish people knew about diving here or wish that or like want to tell people about diving that people wouldn't traditionally know?
I would say that if you have any background, either dance, gymnastics, or have like been on a diving board before, it will do a flip or two. You have the potential to be a diver. I mean, I walked on with like 5 weeks to go before conference. Hadn't really ever dove competitively before, but I knew how to do a flip, backflip. That's kind of it. Mm-hmm. And Dave turned me into obviously what I was at the end of the season. Yeah. So I mean, if you want to play a sport and can do that, just show up.
Yeah. In the pool area, I saw there is a trampoline that he'll hook you guys up to, and you guys will practice your dives on, which looks so fun, by the way. Do you want to talk about that and what that is like, just training with Dave with the trampoline? Because I had never seen anything like that before, and it looks so fun. Yeah. So
it's pretty similar to like what you do in gymnastics. We used to do that a lot. But we either work on our basics or something new, but for me it was normally basics. So we do that for about a half an hour before practice when we practice at Carthage, just to get in on the dry land, or like if we had a rough week, we'll do tramp instead of actually getting in the water for short on time.
Do you use the trampoline more often then?
Yeah, I did it a lot to learn new dives before just throwing them on the board and smacking. So that, yeah, I just use it to learn new dives. We got a twisting belt, which helps with twisters, and Dave just helped us with our technique, basically.
Dave's great. How has he kind of shaped you guys as divers, like helping with that technique? Has it been his encouragement? Has it been just like his knowledge of the sport that has helped you? Like, what has been the biggest piece of Dan's help that has alluded to your guys' success?
For me, it's just his attitude. It reminded me of my gymnastics coaches, and as someone who was a little like frightened to do this, I needed that extra push, and he did have a lot of knowledge. He was a diver himself in college and very successful at it. So I feel like both of us as examples, we picked it up super fast from him. I would have told you that I was never going to compete 11 dives, or let alone 3 meter. I was promised I'd only do 1 meter my first year here. So for me to be able to compete successfully at conference, both 1 and 3 meter, I think it just shows Dave was able to push us in a kind way that made us accomplish not only our goals, but the team's goals as well.
Yeah. What about you?
I would say for me, Dave has a way of seeing the potential in somebody before they can kind of recognize it themselves. So he will push you hard, but like he believes that you can take kind of just whatever he thinks you can do. So even if you don't think you can do a dive, he's going to have you do it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be better off for it. So I think that's what probably the majority of my success came from, was that I didn't think I could do half the stuff, but he thought I could. And so I just tried just because he wanted me to. So
Yeah, he has that kind of like fatherly energy to him too, where he's like very encouraging and like wants you to do well, and like you can very much so see that through like his leadership and even the way that he carries himself too. Like he just wants everyone to be successful. So beautiful. And your guys' own personal opinion, what would you guys say is like the hardest part of being a diver at Carthage, or just in the collegiate environment and landscape?
I would say the mental aspect.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, just getting up on the board, especially 3 meter, and being like, looking down, I'm like, I got to do flips off this. I got to dive in just that. That's the hardest thing. I mean, at the end of the day, physically it's not that hard as it looks, but mentally it's one of the hardest things, sports I could probably think of, to be honest.
There was many practices where I just went to the edge of the board and stood there and waited to go, and I just couldn't make myself go. But once you do it once, it's a little bit better. And like you said, Dave told me at my first practice, I'm not going to make you do anything I think you can't do. So that was always in the back of my mind. But we definitely both had our practices where we just walked to the end of the board and walked back, walked to the end of the board, walked back.
Yep. That's okay. I can imagine how intimidating that can be, being all the way up there and looking down. Like, there were a couple dives that even Tayden had where when he jumped off, he like almost hit the stuff off the ceiling. And I was like, okay, maybe not that high, Tayden. Okay.
Very aggressive with
him. Well, and it's a far way down, and when you're putting yourself even farther up, it's even farther down.
We definitely had some nice smacks on 3 meter throughout the season. A couple concussions from some people, but
poor Gabby.
Yes.
I felt so bad for her. It was like her first week, her first practice, and she got a concussion like right off the bat. I was like, this poor girl. So another question for you. This is kind of a 2-parter. So what is your guys's, for each of you, what is your favorite dive and what is your most hated dive? Like never, like you could never pay me enough money to ever do this again type dive.
My least favorite is my inward 1.5 on 3 meter. I learned it over training trip in Florida in the dark, with just the lights. Like it was light, but it was nighttime. It was freezing. And Dave told me it was going to be an end of training trip goal. I got it the first day. And then we got back and I was doing it inside. You'd think it'd be easier. I literally wouldn't throw it. I would just do 1 flip instead of the 1.5. So we kept taking it out of my lineup at meets, and finally for conference he said I had no other option but to do it. So I was at conference holding my breath the whole time doing it. And then my favorite dive would probably be any reverse dive, so like a gainer. I just score the best on it, and I think it's the most fun and easy to close my eyes and do, because that's what I do. So
Yeah.
closing your eyes and dive doesn't really match, but for those ones, it's okay.
Take a deep breath, jump,
Yep.
close your eyes,
Yes.
hope you land the right way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do.
My favorite dive is probably the complete opposite. Inward 1.5. Both boards is probably my favorite. My least favorite, probably reverse 1.5 half twist off 3 meter. That one hurt a couple times.
Coming down?
Yeah. So that one's probably my least favorite.
A couple of hard hits off the 3 meter with that one.
Yeah, that one wasn't enjoyable.
Yeah, there were a couple that were taken this season where there was one that someone had their back cupped and they came out of the water and their entire back was bright red. And I was like, oh my gosh. That poor girl at conference, oh my gosh. I felt so bad because she was like in pain the whole time too. She had like a back injury and was struggling through the whole meet and then landed on her back too. And I was like,
Yeah, she smacked twice during warm-ups and twice during the meet. So once is enough, honestly.
4 times in one day.
Yeah,
I think
that was
I'd quit too.
understandable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. I get it for sure. So let's talk about your guys' like prep for meets and stuff. So obviously you guys have a little bit more of a different routine since your guys' meets are separated from the swim team. The swim team has like their chant that they get to do before their meets. Do you guys get to get involved in that, or do you guys do your own sort of like pre-game ritual with each other?
So we do the chant with them as long as we're not warming up while they're doing it, because sometimes that happens. Dave has his own ritual with us, of course, where he throws us a starburst and we have to catch it, and if we don't catch it, then we will have a bad meet. Like, he flat out tells us that. And I'm a very, very superstitious person.
Yeah.
So I made sure I caught every single one, because I actually would have like gaslit myself into thinking I was gonna die at the meet smack.
You're like, I'm gonna smack my face and break my neck.
I told him I didn't want to do it, but he told us we had to do it. So every meet we had to catch a starburst and then eat it really fast before we went and dove.
Well, that's sweet of him.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody dropped it. Just
no one did.
Okay.
No one did. Everyone caught it.
Poor Gabby got her first day maybe, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that he's able to like boost you guys up in his own little way. He's such a personality too. I've worked with you guys for 3 years and getting to know Dave really well, and he's a hoot.
Yes.
So, talking about Dave, just a little bit about what it's like to have Dave as a coach. What is his coaching style like compared to Beth or Q or even Seth, who was the previous head coach?
I mean, you've been coached by all of them, so you could probably tell more.
It's definitely different. It's more individualized, I would say. I mean, with Beth and Q, they have 60 plus, so it's hard to have more individualized practice and whatnot, but he always finds a way to kind of just take the time to chat and do what he thinks is right for us individually, so I would say that's his biggest part of how his coaching style kind of just...
His best quality with his coaching style. I love that. And then what would you guys say is like your favorite part about diving at Carthage? Is it the people? Is it the coaching? Is it the experiences that you get here? Like, is it just like the overall, just everything about it? Like, what is that thing inside of you that you're like, this is the one part that is going to make me come back year after year after year?
So mine would probably be the people. That was one of the other reasons that when I was given this idea of being on the dive team, that my sister said, instead of being on, like, here the golf team is pretty big, but at my last school I was on a team of 6 golfers, so it was pretty small. So when she proposed the idea that I would have 60 teammates, because here they do a really good job at including the divers, it made a big difference, and we are included. I love to hang out with the girls on the weekend. And it just makes a big difference at meets. Even the meets I wasn't diving at, like they did separate days for diving, I showed up to the meets and I was there the whole time, just standing on the pool deck, cheering them on.
Mm-hmm. I even saw, like, Grace was there for your, like, dive meets and stuff. You guys would pop out and, like, cheer each other on. That's one thing that I love about, like, the swim and dive teams is, like, even though you guys are, like, separated in a way, you guys do come together a lot, which is, it's just one of the most beautiful things about sport, because we don't have a lot of sports here that are like that and have that feature, so I really like that about it. But what about you, Carson?
I would say is probably getting out of practice.
Yeah.
So I know how to swim when I I just tell Beth, I'll be like, hey, I'm tired after doing a 2-hour dive practice. She's like, oh, it's okay. You don't have to swim today. Or you just go home. And
Beth is going to watch us and be like, he's never skipping practice again. She definitely knows.
She
knows.
Yeah, but so that's probably my favorite part is just not having to swim every day. But yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I would say the people. I mean, I got to know them pretty well. I didn't know them super well, I would say. I got associated a little bit, but I didn't know them on a deeper level. And that's probably my favorite part of just being able to dive is getting to know them a lot better as I do now.
This team is very, very close. I've been able to see. I've been announcing this team for 3 years, and so even with the divers and the way that you guys interact with one another and the way you guys you'll have one another like film another dive while you go, and even between the teams, like I know there was an Augustana guy that was recording I think one of your dives and was doing that for like whatever you needed it for, and so I love the camaraderie that swim and dive has, and obviously that's a huge part of that culture. But do you guys like enjoy being able to have that camaraderie between even like the people that you're competing against? Like usually within a competitive environment it's, oh, that's my competitor, but I feel like I catch myself looking over and you guys are just chatting it up with one another. So is that an element to dive that you guys, really enjoy, is being able to have that kind of camaraderie between your competition?
For me, that's a big thing. I think that sort of comes from golf. You spend 6 hours with the people you're golfing with, so you get to know them pretty quickly. And with dive, the 11 dive meets with 3 and 1 meter are very long. They lasted up to about 4 hours.
Yes, they do.
And you rotate between each person, so you had about like 10 minutes, 20 minutes between your own dives. So I became really close with the Wesleyan diver, actually. So every meet we'd text each other and be like, are you going to be at this one? So we got really close, and then I really enjoy my time with the Augie girls as well. So at conference, we're all rooting for each other. There was one point where a girl didn't know how to do a dive, and we were all standing behind the board trying to explain it to her, trying to get it so she didn't at least fail the dive.
Yeah.
So we're all supporting each other. Obviously, we want to win at the end of the day, but we don't want to see anyone smack.
Right. That's
Right.
It's so painful, like, watching that happen. Like, I'll be sitting and I'm just like, that one hurts.
Yeah.
It, like, I'll watch it and I'll feel the pain myself, and I'm just
like,
like,
it's a nice little sunburn feeling.
yeah. Well, and it just lingers too, which is the worst.
Yeah.
So, What about you?
Yeah, I would say it kind of takes the edge off, I guess. Being able to talk to a competitor and just be like, hey, like you're someone from the team, but at the end of the day, you're a chill person, and just being able to meet back at a conference, say hi, see him in the warm-up pool, something like that. Just kind of, it's nice. I mean, a lot of sports don't have that, so swim being kind of one of the only sports I've ever played that has that is definitely nice. It's definitely new, but
yeah, it's one of the only sports that I've experienced that has that type of relationship, and being able to have a competitor and see them routinely, like, you do build those relationships, and I love that you guys are able to support one another and not have like bad blood or beef or anything like that. It's something that's so special about swim and dive that is just so unique. So I love that so much. When it comes to the way that diving is, it's very individualized. And so, you go once and then you wait for all the other women to go, and then you have to wait for all the men to go, and vice versa for the men's. You go once and then you wait for all the men and then all the women. So in that in-between time, what is kind of like your guys' way to stay locked in? Like, it's a long wait period, it's a long time to be in between. How do you keep your body warm? How do you keep yourself in that mindset? And how do you ultimately prepare for that next dive and keeping that momentum going mentally?
So for me, to be 100% honest, for the 11 dive meets, I could not remember my dive to save my life, so I'd be on my phone searching up what my next dive would be that I entered. So that is normally what I did, and I check it like 5 times thinking it would change for some reason. It never would, because why would it? Right. Or I'd be talking about something completely different than dive because it stressed me out. And then right before I'd go, I would actually get on the board and take the biggest deep breath ever, as pointed out by my sister, my mom, telling me I look extremely nervous. But I would hold my breath after that from the minute I started walking to the minute I got out of the water. So I needed a deep breath just to be ready. So that's what I would do.
That's good. What about you?
So me, as soon as I got out of the water, dried myself off, put on my shorts, put my earbuds in, this at least for 11 dive meets. We had those 20 minutes. Waited about 5-10 minutes, took them out, looked at what dive I was doing, watched, and then when I got up to the board, I adjusted the wheel setting.
Sure.
Took a deep breath, turned my mind off, and went.
Yeah.
Every
Just
time.
took off.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got more balls than me. I could not. Yeah. I'm like, when I see you guys go off, I take like a little like breath myself, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
That's
they're
when my
good.
eyes are closed.
Yeah. Like when you guys go down and it takes a while for you to come back up to, I'm like, oh my God.
That scares me when people stay down there forever.
Yeah.
No, I get out of there the second I get in.
Yes, because some people, they'll like go down and then they'll swim to the edge and then they'll come up, and I'm like
Right.
sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, are they okay?
Yeah,
Are they
no,
alive? Like,
actually, yeah, me too.
yes, yeah, awesome.
Like there's like you build up for like 5 seconds. Like you're competing for 5 seconds versus like I don't know, for basketball you're playing for like 20 minutes on end.
Yeah.
Versus like if you only have 5 seconds to do your activity, and if you make a mistake,
That's
I
your
feel like
5
there's
seconds.
I feel like there's a lot more pressure
Um,
to make a successful dive versus like if you miss one shot in basketball, you have the next possession down the court to make up
Yeah.
for that mistake. So I just feel like there's more pressure on it. So
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying. I mean, my first meet, I thought a lot of the time, like through my dive, like I was on the board actively thinking, and I think that causes more issues. You just gotta let muscle memory kick in at that point, because there's nothing else you can do. There's no more practice. You just gotta go out there and do what you have practiced for so long, and that's why I just get up on the board and just try to shut my mind off.
You
Don't
have to
think,
be okay
yeah.
with that, like, whatever happens,
Yes.
happens type of
Like
mindset.
you've done it 100 times in practice, so just go do it.
Is that something that Dave kind of keeps in your guys' mind as well, as like, you guys have done this a million times, like, you can get up on this board and do it again, like, you'll be able to.
Yeah, I think we also do a really good job of reminding each other that. I know that like we both had to qualify for conference. So to compete at dive conference, you have to successfully complete an 11 dive meet on both boards. So a successful meet is not failing 2 dives.
Right.
So we always remind each other that we've done our dives a lot of times during practice and that everything's going to be okay. And Dave, before every meet, he'll tell us, out of 11 dives, if you do bad on one, you have a next one, right? Like, you can't go back and redo it, so just focus on your next dive.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to think about it, is like, what's been done is done, and all that you can do is just prepare for what's next. Especially in a sport where, like you said, in those 11 dive meets, they go for a really long time.
Right.
So being able to keep that mindset for that full 4-hour meet too has to be a challenge as well, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah, that's why I think we try to not talk about dive or just do whatever else, sit there and
Do whatever's going to keep you in that positive mindset.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
How do you guys keep yourselves from kind of getting in your head if you have, a bad meet where, your warm-up wasn't great, you've had a failed dive, like, is it your teammates that keep you out of falling into that mindset? Is it Dave? Is it yourself? Like, what is that key factor for you guys to keep yourself from falling out of that negative mindset?
I would say for me personally, it's definitely myself. I mean, like I said, I just kind of try to just tell myself, shut my mind off at the end of the day. If I had a bad dive, there's nothing I can do about it. And during that time that I have till my next dive, I gotta root for my teammates, and I gotta relax and do what I know that I can do.
So I think it's a little different because, like, Dave is judging, so he can't come and talk to us or tell us what to do. So I would often, I would have Tatum give me advice because I'm brand new. I don't know anything. I don't really even know the scoring system. So, if I did do bad, I honestly didn't really know I did bad until the end when I got my total score and I compared it to last meet's score. But it was definitely my teammates for me at the end, or the other girls, right? I said I was close with the Wesleyan girls, so
The
we
Augie
often
girls.
cheered each other on. Yes,
Yeah.
the Augie girls. We were really good at that.
Yeah, the Augie girls are super nice.
Yes.
They're always super, super talkative and
Yes.
always wanting to come up and talk, so
Yes.
yeah, that's great. When it comes to just the way that the scoring is and just the complexity of being scored individually but also as a team, but then also having your guys' team scores being added to the swim team scores, is there something that, as divers, you kind of have that extra pressure of, especially for conference, I need to do well on these dives so that we can add these points for our swim team. Is there an additional pressure that you guys feel that when you're having those dive meets, and how do you kind of keep yourself, level-headed when you know that the swim team is depending on you guys for those points?
So for me, conference was a big meet points-wise because I felt like that was my whole point of diving, was to get points at conference for the girls team, right? That's what we talked about. I was a point scorer. That's what I needed to do. And I felt if I didn't score enough points that my whole season wouldn't have mattered, which realistically that wouldn't have happened, right? Everyone would have still loved me at the end of the day. It would have went fine. But conference was a big points for me. So after I got my first board done, it went well. So I relaxed a little bit, and it just all happened really good, and just stayed calm and confident throughout all of my dives.
I had a lot of pressure, to be honest. Just because last year I didn't dive. I just swam. The men's team lost by 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think if I would have dove last year, that we would have won, most likely. And so this year I kind of have the same mentality, like I have to do well, because what if it comes down to those 12 points again?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I could be the difference maker at this. So that's what I kind of had in my head going into this meet. Like, I need to perform well to help my team. And that, I guess that pressure kind of made me do better at the end of the day. Made me lock in, focus for that whole 5 hours. So that's what I was thinking about the whole meet. But
That's awesome. Well, and you're totally right. It can absolutely come down to those 12 points and whether or not, that relay hits successfully or whether or not you guys hit your dive successfully will be that determining factor between, even 12 points, like you said. Like, it's not a lot that these meets, are separated by in terms of placement. So even for you guys individually with dives, like, you guys are never too far apart in terms of score. I mean, other than Tayden. But he's his own beast. So.
Yeah. Fail a dive and still win conference.
Dude, he's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like at the conference he won by like over 100 points. I was like, dude, you're like actually like insane.
Yes.
Like he does some of the craziest dives too. Like there were dives that I would announce that I was like, oh, I have never announced this dive in 3 years. Like I'm like, wow, this is a 6-number dive. This is a lot. I'm like, okay, like when it's like the 3.2 difficulty, I'm like, whoa, like you're up there, dude. Yeah. So
at the end of the day, I will give him his credit. He deserves it so much. So
absolutely.
He shows up to all optional practices when he has to drive to Racine every day to go to Dave's club. And, I mean, he puts in so much work. Just from the time that I spent with him, he puts in more time than anybody on this team.
Yeah. Well, and at all the meets, he's always so focused. Yes. I feel like he's literally, like, lasered in, like, almost as if, like, he's like a horse with blinders on. Like, he is just dive. That's it. And I applaud him for it, truthfully, because obviously, like, it pays off in terms of his scoring. Sure. Like, he truly does amazing. A little couple last questions for you guys. With diving and everything that's involved with it, what is something that, you guys have overcome this season, and like what are you looking forward to in terms of growth of next season? You both are coming back next year, you both are looking forward to next season and towards next year, and is there something that you've grown in this year that you're excited to continue growing in next year? Is there something that is completely new next year that you're excited to grow into? What is looking forward to 2025-26?
I'm excited to maybe throw some new dives that Dave will just surprise me with. It should be interesting. I think definitely I haven't reached my limit yet, so that would be really cool. And then just keep growing the team. I think the dive program is trending in the right direction. We just need a couple more recruits, so gymnasts, come our way, please.
Gymnasts, dancers, whoever.
Anyone. I think it would be really beneficial just to get this team moving a little bit quicker and bigger.
What about you, Carson?
I would say I struggled with some injuries early in the season, so if I could have a healthy senior season with swim and dive both, then that would be my perfect season at the end of the day.
What has that been for you like this season with having to work through those injuries and having to deal with being both the responsibility and having those responsibilities with swim and dive? How were you able to, combat the mental aspect of that and then coming back in?
Yeah, it was hard, but at the end of the day, like I sat down with Beth and I was like, I found a way to help the team. I never thought about diving really before I kind of had those injuries, but there was a diving spot open and I thought I could do it. So that mentally helped me that I could find a way to help the team at our conference meet. So that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah, especially because you had said that you had thought about those pressures with, what is that determining factor with those 12 points? So, ultimately, like, that's amazing for you to take that initiative and want to be able to, be that differentiating point for your team and take that extra step. So, congratulations for you. Proud of you for that. Yeah. One last question for you guys. This is just kind of like a silly question, but like, is there just a crazy dive that if you had the ability and knew you would not die, that you would do?
What is that one we YouTubed and you tried it at practice? I have a video of it. He came to practice one day and said, I saw this on the internet, should I try it? And Dave wasn't there. It was an optional practice. And it's literally, he just flies through the air. I couldn't even tell what he was trying to do.
I don't
was
remember.
What
It
was that, actually?
It was some reverse twisting thing that I saw online. I was like, hey, I'm just going to try it, because why not?
Did you do it off the 1 or the 3?
It was 1.
Oh, okay.
No,
I was
it's
like,
not.
the 3 would be
one.
tragic.
It was 1.
It was the 1.
It was a hard enough smack on 1,
Ooh.
for sure.
Did you land on your back or your stomach?
It was like your side.
Yeah, I think it was my side. Yeah, it didn't feel great, but
No.
it was still fun.
Yeah. Just fun for the bit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I honestly don't know. I think Dave just tells me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see what comes the next 2 years for sure.
Yeah, you've had some incredible growth this season.
Yeah,
You both
thank
have.
you.
So looking forward to seeing what you guys do in 2025-26 and hopefully some continued positive growth and no more injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep healthy. Let's
Yeah.
do that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate you guys taking the time and being on the podcast. So it was awesome to have you guys.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having
thank you
us.
so
Of
much.
course.